So after months of work and preparation to launch my fundraising campaign to digitize the Tribe Magazine photographic archive, this huge, massive collection of film and slides that covers the rave and underground house music scene and the birth of the electronic music scene in Canada, this huge, important collection. I'm trying to raise money for it, and so I set up this campaign on Indiegogo. I buy the domain of the same name to refer to the campaign, and the preservethebeat.com domain only works on Edge browsers. It doesn't work on Firefox or Chrome browsers. So there's some weird internet quirk that's happening as I launch my campaign. So I've lost like over 2 days already trying to fix this stupid link going to my fundraising campaign on Indiegogo. It's just the most frustrating thing. Yesterday, I just had to keep stepping away from the computer and going outside and taking a deep breath because I was so frustrated. The hitting F5 or reloading the page and it hasn't changed all day is just the most stupid thing to do. So I was just distraught yesterday. But, this kind of stuff happens. The computer stuff always happens at the last minute. So I know that. I accept that. I'll deal with it. I'll figure it out eventually or not. Whatever. This is a show about jewelry. Why we wear it, why it matters, how it's made, and what it means. I'm Alex D, and I turn cannabis into gold. I make mind-blowing jewelry in gold, silver, and platinum from cannabis plants here in Canada for stage, screen, for people who want to rock crazy jewelry. I'm the Cannabis Goldsmith.
We're the Cannabis Goldsmiths.
So I've discovered so much about myself and about things from doing this fundraising campaign. You know what? Since the Earl's not working, you can see it on Indiegogo. Just search for Preserve the Beat. That's the name of the campaign, Preserve the Beat. 3 separate words. And you will get the campaign. So go there and donate, please, because that seems to be the only way we can get people to that site, is just to tell them what the Indiegogo domain is. And it's really long. So just go to Indiegogo and search for Preserve the Beat. Anyway, this I started thinking about how our whole communication space is fucked for artists trying to raise funds, but for everybody in general. I mean, for everyone. As an example, I have close to 2,000 Facebook friends, right? But when I mention about this fundraising campaign in my feed, Facebook's not going to show it to all of them. Facebook will show it to maybe a handful and then try and sell me advertising to show it to the rest of my followers, my friends, on their platform. So they're looking to squeeze money out of even your friends before you even talk to them. Before you even talk to your friends. Now, since Facebook owns Instagram, the same thing happens on that platform. I really smile when I say to people, you can find this on Facebook or whatever. Say, oh, I am not on Facebook. I don't like Facebook. I'm on Instagram. But it's the same platform, and there's the same ad technology and the same creepy owner, CEO that owns it. There's no difference. There's an appearance difference, but the mechanics behind the platform are the same. It's still throttling what you have to say in order to buy Mark Zuckerberg another bunker. Maybe he's got 3 or 4 by now on tropical islands, right? So that's what it's about. But what does an artist do? We have to get the word out about our shows. We have to get the word out about our fundraising campaigns to raise money to digitize photography. We have to get the word out, and we can't because it's being throttled by platforms. Now, this wouldn't be so bad if everyone hadn't moved on to platforms to communicate. But you see, people have all moved on to Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all these platforms to communicate with each other. And now we're at the mercy of the owners of these platforms because they decide who we can communicate with. And that's just sad. When it's sad for my own fundraising campaign because I'm going to have to buy advertising in order to get the word out. And even then, there's so much advertising fraud with these companies that you're not sure if anyone's actually, you might be sending the checks to Google and the ads are getting shown in the wrong place to the wrong people, and you have no idea. And there's lots of that going on. Lots. The whole ad tech industry is rife with this. It's full of it. So what is an artist to do? Well, email is the only thing left, basically. Podcasts, email, and these are the only two things that are not constricted by the platforms. So photographers are looking for other ways to get the word out. It was so funny. A number of years ago, there's this photographer, a famous Canadian photographer called Edward Burtynsky, who I enjoy his work. I mean, I followed his work since the beginning. And there was he did a book or another book or some gallery show or something he was doing, and he's really famous now, and his pieces sell for a lot of money. But I was in downtown Toronto, and there's this area of Toronto called Dundas Square. It's like they're going to rename it something, but for now it's called Dundas Square. And it's kind of like the Times Square in New York, where it's filled with big, huge billboards. And they've recently installed these huge LED billboards that you really need to wear a welding fucking helmet because they're so bright, right? They use so much electricity, and they're just pumping out these Coca-Cola or whatever the fuck they're selling on this thing that is like 100 feet by 100 feet, and just blasting your retinas out with fucking light, right? So I was at Dundas Square, and I looked up, and there was Edward Burtynsky's photographs blasting on this giant electronic billboard, and the picture was of like some sewage dump in China or something. Like what he would do is he had this interesting technique that he would take a large format camera around the world and go to these places where the ecology had just been destroyed, right, by human manufacturing and globalization and all this, right? And his pictures are like a lot of ruined earth stuff, And so this was one of these a giant, like it was 100 feet across, using like four gigawatts of electricity to display this image of a ruined earth on the giant billboard. And I thought that was just so ironic. I thought it was just silly. So I sent him a tweet. I said, "Dude, what are you doing? You're showing your destroyed Earth, your beautiful destroyed Earth photographs on this fucking giant electronic billboard. It's just stupid." And he sent back to me. I think he hoped nobody would have noticed that, but I think he got back to me and he said, "Oh, but we're buying the power from Bulldog Energy," which is like some company that apparently is better to buy electricity from than another company. You know what? It's all coming on the same grid it's still, why are you even using that much energy to do this? He didn't answer that question. But anyway, now I understand why. I totally understand why he was doing it. You see, he can't communicate with people on Facebook either. Burtynsky, they're throttling Burtynsky's content too. And now that their AIs are really sharp, the platforms know that Burtynsky's like rolling in cash now. So maybe he can afford to pay more for advertising than someone like me, for example. So I'm sure they're trying to squeeze every cent out of him. So that's why he had to resort to a giant electronic billboard, Like this would be like a vegan farm stall selling chickens, right? Like this is the most ridiculous thing. But in order to punch through the communications throttling, this is what he had to do, right? It's ridiculous. So anyway, I'm thinking about me. My campaign is off to a slow start. I am quite confident that I can raise the small amount of money. It's like $50K. It's not a lot. I mean, I'm sure one of the Burtynsky prints cost that much, right? So think about that. Anyway, the only thing that would prevent me from reaching the fundraising goal is if I'm not able to communicate with the people who used to read my magazine or who raved back in the day. Now, if I can't reach them and I can't afford to reach them, I might not be able to make my campaign goal because the platforms are standing in the way, because Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever it's called, they won't even let me post Indiegogo links on Twitter. They suppress them, right? They don't want that on their platform, so they've suppressed it. So the only thing that's going to prevent me from achieving my goal is being throttled by the platforms. Now, how I'm going to get around that is I'm asking people to share with 4 friends the Preserve the Beat news about Preserve the Beat. Just say Alex D is raising cash for the pictures, the photographs, to digitize them. Go to Indiegogo and look for the Preserve the Beat campaign. You'll find it and donate. That simple. And now tell your friend or tell 4 friends that, and we can punch through the throttling. And besides, these photographs are about a community and our community, so they're community. The other thing I noticed, I learned this week, is that as soon as my fundraising campaign dropped, and even before it did, the week before when the pre-launch video dropped, I started getting messages from people trying to sell me fundraising services. They were like communicating, trying to get a pitch together, pitching me. One guy was like, how's the campaign going? I mean, it looks like, and it turns out it was spam. He was trying to engage me so he could sell me fundraising services, right? It's so weird. But I'm saying it's not the hardest thing in the world to do. The hardest thing in the world to do is to sell advertising, especially in a publication no one's ever heard of before. That is the hardest thing to do in the world. And if you've done that before, you know what I'm talking about. But even if you've successfully done that, if you successfully sold ads in a publication that didn't exist before, a new publication, then, you can do anything. I'm quite confident. I've sold advertising in all my life for different things. From the first time I convinced my old man to get the Christmas cards, that I could sell and make profits on, he didn't want to do that, right? He ended up selling to all his friends at work because I couldn't even sell one fucking Christmas card or whatever it was. And so he had to take them and beg his colleagues at work to buy these like crappy Christmas cards for his son, That was my first sales experience. But since then, I sold everything and advertising, and I've been good at it. I mean, I published a whole magazine for decades based on advertising that I sold myself. Self-funded. That whole magazine was self-funded, like through advertising content. Like, so, I mean, this is different though. Fundraising is different. It has a different feeling to it. But I've had to come to grips with a lot of stuff about it. Like, first off, you have to produce videos explaining what the campaign is about. So I had to learn how to do that. I was not used to being videotaped. So since Christmas, I've been practicing recording myself on videotape and looking at it and deleting it and doing it over and over and over and trying to get comfortable doing it, right? So that I could explain and communicate my message properly to who I want to talk to about this Preserve the Beat campaign. And so I've done that. I've learned that. I've learned those skills. I can do that now. I can talk on video, and I can record videos, and I can edit them together. Not so good yet, but my editing's getting better. But I'm learning all this stuff in order to do this fundraiser, right? So I'm acquiring skills. That's good. So in the slim chance it doesn't work, or if the internet goes down completely this could always happen, during the 60 days or less during the 58 days that this campaign has left, then it's out of my hands. And even this URL is out of my hands. This URL situation, I'm just gonna move on and just use the Indiegogo URL. Having to raise money for art is it's hard enough to sell art, but to raise money before you even get there is like another thing. It's interesting, I gotta say. But I'm comfortable with this photography. I shot it, and it's good. It's really good. When I was younger, I was worried about the quality of my work all the time. And I was like, I had a sense that it could be better. It wasn't good enough because it could be better. That's the sense I had. So I was always looking to make it better. Early on, it was perfectionism, but then it just became kind of craft, like looking at how can I learn, like with this videotape thing. I spent, months learning how to tape myself. I do shit like this. I'm always looking to learn new things. So with the photography, I was trying different stuff, but the work is really good. Like it's excellent, right? But if I can't communicate the message so that the community knows that I need their help, even if I buy advertising, that might thwart this whole thing, right? I mentioned that with this project, it's a photography project of cultural significance to Canada. Our heritage ministry in Canada is the ministry that is responsible for supporting this kind of thing. But they're not, they haven't, the heritage ministry in the last 8 years hasn't touched any cultural content as far as I can see, unless it's in their own interests. And right now, they are flailing badly. The government is flailing so badly. They're more interested in their own preservation than the preservation of important Canadian cultural archives. So it's like opposite land, right? Our government right now. So they would be the appropriate people to donate a big chunk of money for this photography collection. But as I say, they're totally incapable of doing it, and now they're only looking for their own preservation. So I don't expect it from them. But when you see things like $60 million being scraped off by some GC strategies company off tax money going to stuff, like there's somebody there scraping the money off the top, skimming it off the top before it even goes out, right? Like from the government to wherever. There's some organization that's been set up in the government, and we're seeing this now that is skimming money before it goes out to the Canadian population. This Arrive can thing is an example of that. But anyway, why should I have to worry about any of that shit? That's what I'm thinking. So anyway, today what I'm going to do today is I'm going to make another attempt to resolve the URL problems with GoDaddy. They're the problem with this GoDaddy. I've used them for years, but they seem to be fucking up majorly now. And then I will start emailing people to get around the platform controls to try and spread the word about the fundraising campaign. I've got 58 days. I'm going to make good use of the days as best as I can, and I hope my friends can help and spread the word and give and do whatever. But anyway, back to photography. Photography is interesting because as more people have gotten cameras in their hands, they're taking more photos. I mean, the world is awash with photos, but they're all digital photos, right? And there's like a carpet, a continuous rug of photos being pulled across our eyes all day long. And I think maybe people are kind of just immune now to photography, or they don't look at it long enough to see what it's about. Like I watched this Ken Burns documentary. I watched a few of them, and he takes still photography and he makes it into documentary pictures. And I did his master class on documentary filmmaking, which is good, incidentally. He goes into his process a lot, and I've learned a lot from him just watching that. But he describes photographs as even more important than videotape. He uses them in a way that's of course unique and incredible to bring history to life, which is incredible when you think about it, that a still photograph can do that. But he says that, in fact, when we watch film, we're actually watching still photographs. They're just going past our eyes faster. They're in a strip, and whatever frames per second, 30, 60 are going past our eyes per second. It's still photography. So I found that almost comforting when he said that. So I don't know, with my photographs, there are this deep look at Canadian culture, a subculture, electronic music, ravers, DJs, raves. I mean, there are parts in these photographs that, well, there are parts of Toronto that don't exist anymore. They're buried under condo developments, old warehouse buildings and party spaces and things like that. It's kind of architectural too. There's lots of portrait photography in it too. Ravers that I shot. My style was a little bit different in that, a lot different. It was more documentary photography than, I hated shooting posed photographs, like people standing there looking at the camera and smiling. This is the last thing that I would do. People always want to do this. Take my picture. They would stand in front of me in a row and expect me to take their photographs. And I just no. Like, I'll come back, I'll come back. And I would come back when they're not looking, and I take their photographs. So the photographs have a naturalness to them and a kind of, it's a documentariness to them where you're there. You're not, people aren't putting on a face for you. You're seeing how it really was, right? And that's what makes this collection truly amazing. Now, there are some posed photographs. Like, I shot covers for this magazine, for this collection. So there's some beauty and fashion photography in it too, and some portrait photography. But generally speaking, it's like going to a really great party on a Saturday night and dancing for 10 hours with just like amazing. But anyway, how do I communicate this? How do I communicate to get my funds Or say if I was going to do a gallery show, how would I do that? Do I buy a big megawatt billboard on Dundas Square if I can afford it? Or do I email people? Do I call them up on the phone? God, man, it's the whole communication space has just been taken over by the platforms. When you step back and think about it, we are being painted into corners by these people, and it sucks. It truly sucks. So I don't know what to do about that, and really, there's nothing I can do. So I'm gonna just motor on, try ahead, and hope for help from the community. If I reach 1 or 2 members of them by email or whatever, maybe they'll spread the message, And there it is. So that's what I'll be doing for 60 days. I'm working on. We're at 25 minutes. Let me talk about jewelry. This is the show that's not about jewelry. I got this screen. I'm like, I have a whole bunch of cannabis seeds a jar, right? That I use for making jewelry pieces, a big jar of them. But I need to sort them into different sizes because I want to do like small seeds, medium seeds, large, you know what I'm saying. But I need a uniform size of kind of small seeds. So how the fuck am I going to do this, right? So I thought, I'll sift them somehow. And I couldn't find anything with a nice mesh that would sift them. I need like a 3 millimeter diameter seed, but I need them all to be that or smaller, right? So anyway, I finally got a piece of mesh. This is my exciting buy for the week. It costs $11. It's a piece of stainless steel mesh with 3 millimeter holes in it. And I'm just going to sift the seeds through that and get all a nice uniform number of seeds, a number of them that are all the same size. Then I'm laying those into a belt buckle. And then I'm going to cast that in sterling silver, or Ed, our master goldsmith in Toronto, will be trying to do it from my crazy design. I mean, I drive him crazy, I know. But the design, I have this idea for this design. It's not going away. It's a field of cannabis seeds in sterling silver with 1 seed in 14 karat gold. And it's just in my brain. So I have to make it. So that's what I'll be working on in between sending emails to people asking for money for Preserve the Beat, which you can find on Indiegogo, by the way. Go to Indiegogo and search for Preserve the Beat, and you will find our campaign. There. Already things are looking better. Oh, that's it for me, the Cannabis Goldsmith. Here in Upper Canada, the snow is finally gone. People are mowing their lawns already. Like, I can't believe it. I'm not that avid of a gardener. But I'm starting to dig out the vegetable beds and the bed for the weed. And I put 4 weed plants out this year. They're doing well. The seedlings are doing well, so they're going to go out in the ground soon. I'm going to make an area. I have one area where I put a cover over it, like a greenhouse, so that I'm going to try and get the plants out a bit early. But we're supposed to get frost this week, so I mean it's still too early to put anything outside. Nevertheless, the trees are about to bloom out with leaves. The grass is green. The animals are running around. Bunnies, I've got bunnies running around the property here, and it's spring. You can tell. And I'm happy about that. Anyway, if you went to raves in North America, if you ever went to a rave or a warehouse party in North America, you should be supporting the Preserve the Beat campaign. It's a campaign to digitize an enormous collection of photography that was shot from 1993 to 2005 in raves, nightclubs, warehouse parties, record stores, fashion, retail outlets, as the internet was being born, but before smartphones and social media, before digital cameras. These photos are amazing. So if you want to see them, and if you want to make that possible, go to Indiegogo and donate to Preserve the Beat. Thank you. All right. That's it for me. Now, let's sift some seeds. The Cannabis Goldsmith is produced by Tribe Communications, Inc. in the Thousand Islands area of Ontario, Canada. You can see what we do at tribe.ca. Send us an email, alexd@cannabisgoldsmith.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week on the Cannabis Goldsmith.